welcome to the deep dive. We've got a really fascinating stack of readings you sent over about leadership and success, all based on Simon Sinek's Start With Why.
Yeah, it's a great book.
So we're going to unpack what makes some ventures truly take off, while others, even with what seems like the perfect recipe, just never quite get off the ground.
Right, and it's fascinating how Sinek kind of connects the dots between biology and business and even human behavior.
Exactly. He shows how that powerful WHY, that sense of purpose,
Yeah.
can be the driving force behind everything we choose to do,
Absolutely, from how we develop products to how we build teams that really stick together.
to even how movements gain momentum and make a lasting impact.
Exactly.
So to kick things off, let's go back in time to the early days of aviation.
Okay.
The race to build the first airplane, a thrilling rivalry between Samuel Pierpont Langley and those ingenious Wright brothers,
Yeah, a classic example.
both aiming for the same ambitious goal, to conquer the skies. But their paths highlight a really stark contrast in approach.
Yeah, Langley seemed to have all the advantages, right?
Yeah, it seems like he had it all.
He had tons of funding, widespread acclaim, a network full of influential figures like Andrew Carnegie and Alexander Graham Bell. Even the New York Times was practically chronicling his every move.
The nation was on the edge of its seat, anticipating his triumph.
Absolutely.
But hundreds of miles away, in a humble workshop, you had these two unassuming bicycle mechanics, Wilbur and Orville Wright, tinkering away,
Right.
lacking Langley's wealth or influence or those prestigious connections.
But with an unwavering passion.
So it begs the question, how did they ultimately succeed where Langley, with all his advantages, fell short?
It's the power of the WHY, right?
It seems like it.
Langley was driven by fame and recognition and wealth, those external validators of achievement.
So he was focused on being first, most celebrated, the wealthiest, all of that.
Exactly. His motivation was very much external.
While the Wright brothers, on the other hand, were fueled by a deep love of flight
And a
and
vision.
this desire to change the world, to open up the skies to everyone.
Yeah, their why was much more intrinsic, more about the impact.
Their inherent motivation propelled them forward, even with limited resources.
And that's what's so fascinating, right?
Yeah, their why was like their secret weapon.
Exactly. And it underscores a really powerful truth, that a well-defined sense of purpose can be even more important than all the resources in the world.
It's about igniting that inner fire, a belief that goes way beyond personal gain.
Absolutely. It's about something bigger than yourself.
Now, Sinek takes us into the world of business.
Okay.
He breaks down this really interesting distinction between manipulations and inspiration.
Yeah, two very different ways of getting people to do what you want.
Exactly. And he says that most companies get caught up in the features, the pricing, the quality.
Right, the tangible stuff.
And this leads to fierce competition, often cutthroat price wars, and all that.
Yeah, it becomes a race to the bottom.
It's crucial to remember, though, that manipulations like fear, promotions, peer pressure, those can work in the short term.
Sure, they can get you results,
But they erode trust and that long-term loyalty that builds a truly successful venture.
right, it's like building on shaky ground.
Now, think about Apple. They've cultivated this incredibly devoted customer base.
Oh yeah, they're famous for it.
People who are willing to pay a premium for their products.
And wait in line for hours for the latest release.
Is it all about the technology?
I don't think so.
Unlikely. It's about tapping into a shared belief system
A sense of belonging.
where owning an Apple product signifies alignment with a specific worldview.
It's like being part of a tribe.
And then you have Harley-Davidson,
Another great example.
this iconic brand that has created such a powerful culture that people tattoo their logo onto their bodies.
Incredible.
And this is way beyond just liking a product. It's about identifying with a set of values.
A community, a way of life even.
So how do these companies achieve such unwavering loyalty?
Well, Sinek says it all comes down to starting with WY.
It's like the foundation of everything they do.
Exactly. He calls it the golden circle, and YY is right at the center.
So the golden circle is basically a framework to understand how to communicate effectively.
Yeah, it starts with YY, that core purpose or belief that fuels your actions.
And then it moves to how, the processes, the actions you take to bring that why out to life.
And finally, it leads to what, the actual products or services you offer.
And the key, according to Sinek, is to start with the why.
Articulating your purpose first.
Because by doing that, you create an emotional bond, a shared belief that you then back up with the how and the what.
It makes sense, right? People connect with the why first.
And this actually connects to a bigger idea that people don't just buy what you do.
They buy why you do it.
They're investing in something bigger than just the product itself.
Absolutely. And it underscores the importance of authenticity.
When your actions align with your core beliefs, when your why shines through,
Then you create something truly special
you resonate on a deeper level.
and build genuine connections.
And in all of this, trust seems to play a crucial role.
Oh, absolutely.
Building trust is essential for lasting success.
Both with your customers and your employees.
Sinek uses Southwest Airlines as an example.
Yeah, they're known for their amazing company culture.
They've consciously built a culture of trust by treating their employees like family.
Which then translates into a great experience for the customer.
It's win-win.
Definitely.
And there's this incredible story about Ernest Shackleton's Antarctic expedition.
Yeah, talk about a test of trust.
A perilous journey full of uncertainty, and Sinek emphasizes that their survival depended more on trust than their actual skills or resources.
Wow, think about being stranded on an ice floe, facing impossible odds.
In those moments, trust becomes everything.
Yeah, it can literally mean the difference between life and death.
And it shows how trust acts as this powerful force multiplier.
When the stakes are high, that shared belief and mutual reliance can make or break you.
But unfortunately, some companies, even with great products,
Right.
stumble because they lack a clear why.
They miss the mark on connecting with their audience.
Sinek uses TiVo as a prime example.
Yeah, they had this revolutionary product, the digital video recorder.
They changed the way people watch TV.
But they ultimately faltered.
And their misstep, according to Sinek, was that they focused too much on what their product did.
The features, the convenience, the technology.
But they failed to articulate why it mattered.
That emotional hook was missing.
They got lost in the technical details.
Yeah, they forgot to connect with the human element.
And they didn't tap into a deeper purpose that would resonate with a wider audience.
Exactly. They missed the WHY.
And Sinek introduces this idea called the law of diffusion.
Right, which explains how innovations spread through a population.
Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Sure, so the law of diffusion basically says that to achieve widespread adoption,
You need to start by engaging the innovators and early adopters.
the people who are naturally drawn to new ideas, those who are eager to try something different.
And they represent about 18% of the population.
Exactly, and they become your evangelists.
So by appealing only to the mass market,
And ignoring the W,
you risk triggering this race to the bottom.
competing solely on price and fleeting loyalty,
You need to capture the hearts and minds of those who truly get it.
and let them lead the charge.
That even when companies find success,
It comes with its own set of challenges.
they encounter new hurdles as they grow and expand,
Sinek talks about this phenomenon he calls the split.
where the original WHY, that founder's vision, gets diluted as the organization becomes more complex. So their own success becomes a potential pitfall.
Yeah, the very growth they strive for can lead them away from what made them unique in the first place.
It's like a paradox.
It is.
And Sinek mentions that at the Gathering of Titans.
A prestigious event for highly successful business owners.
Many of those entrepreneurs admit to feeling a sense of loss.
Like their WY has faded from its central position.
So they achieve outward success, but experience this disconnect from the very purpose that fueled it.
Yeah, it's a peculiar phenomenon.
And it highlights the need for leaders to constantly reinforce the why.
And build systems that ensure that the original purpose permeates the whole culture.
From the top down to the grassroots level.
It's about building a lasting legacy, not just a business.
And that brings us to the critical importance of succession planning.
Absolutely crucial.
Sinek provides compelling examples of what happens when a visionary leader departs
Right.
without a plan to perpetuate that WHY.
He talks about Steve Jobs leaving Apple and Bill Gates stepping down from Microsoft.
Both companies went through periods of uncertainty and instability.
As if that guiding beacon, that WHY, had dimmed.
And it underscores that it's not just about finding a successor with the right skills and experience.
It's about finding someone who embodies the original WHY.
Someone who can inspire the next generation of employees and customers.
Exactly. Succession is about continuing that legacy of purpose, not just filling a position.
And Sinek brings up this interesting concept called the celery test.
Yeah, a great way to think about aligning your decisions with your WHY.
It's a reminder that there aren't always universal best practices.
What works for one company might not work for another.
Because their WHYs are different. So it's not about blindly following trends.
You have to filter your decisions through the lens of your core purpose.
Making sure your actions are authentic and aligned with your beliefs.
It's about making choices that resonate with your WHY, even if they go against conventional wisdom.
It's about finding your own path to success.
Guided by your purpose, not external pressures.
And this whole discussion makes us rethink competition.
Oh, definitely.
Sinek tells the story of Ben Coman, a runner with cerebral palsy.
An incredibly inspiring individual.
He inspires people by competing against himself, not against others.
Which is a powerful example of how focusing on your WHY can shift your entire perspective on success.
It's not about being better than everyone else.
It's about constant self-improvement, striving to be better than you were yesterday.
Imagine companies embracing this philosophy,
Competing against their own past performance, constantly innovating and pushing boundaries.
driven by an internal desire to improve rather than external pressures.
It's a thought-provoking idea, isn't it? What would the business landscape look like if more companies focused on outdoing themselves instead of their competition?
That's a great question to ponder.
Absolutely.
That's a good point to pause for now. In part 2 of our deep dive into Start With Why, we'll explore more fascinating examples, dig deeper into the golden circle, and uncover the profound implications of living and working with a clear sense of purpose.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. It's a captivating topic.
It really is. Welcome back to our deep dive into Simon Sinek's Start With Why. It's amazing how exploring these ideas can really spark some deep introspection.
Oh, absolutely. Both personally and professionally.
Yeah, it's like holding a mirror up to our motivations, our actions, the impact we make on the world.
Totally. And one of Sinek's most fascinating points is that truly exceptional companies, they go beyond just selling products or services.
Right.
They actually provide a way for people to express their beliefs and values.
A tangible way to live out your convictions.
It's not just buying a product. It's aligning yourself with a cause, a belief system.
Yeah, a perspective that resonates with you on a deeper level.
And he uses that striking example of people who tattoo the Harley-Davidson logo on their bodies.
Oh, yeah, that's a powerful image.
It shows how a brand can become more than just a product.
It becomes a symbol of
A
self-expression.
way to broadcast your values and beliefs,
It's like they're not just buying a motorcycle, they're buying into a community.
a culture, a set of ideals that really embodies who they are.
And that feeling of belonging, of shared principles, that's incredibly powerful.
It creates a loyalty that goes way beyond just liking a brand.
Exactly.
It's tribal.
And it reminds us of that law of diffusion we talked about earlier.
Right.
The importance of engaging those innovators and early adopters.
The ones who are drawn to your WH.
They're the key to igniting a movement.
Absolutely. They create that ripple effect that leads to wider acceptance.
And trying to appeal to the masses right from the start without that core group of passionate believers. It's like building a house without a foundation.
It might look impressive at first, but it won't last.
And that brings us back to authenticity.
Yeah, which Sinek emphasizes throughout the book.
Just saying your WHY isn't enough.
You have to live it, breathe it, make it part of the fabric of your organization.
Actions speak louder than words.
When your actions align with your purpose, that's when real trust and loyalty are built.
And it goes back to that saying. People might not remember what you said, but they'll always remember how you made them feel.
When your WHY is genuine, it creates a feeling.
An emotional resonance that logic just can't replicate.
And Sinek talks about this challenge that many companies face as they grow and mature,
Right, he calls it the split.
where that initial WHY, that founder's vision, can become diluted as the organization gets more complex. So in a way, their success can become their downfall.
It's like a paradox.
And Sinek mentions how many entrepreneurs are the gathering of titans.
This gathering of highly successful business owners,
They often express this feeling of loss.
like their why has faded from the center.
They achieve external success, but experience this internal disconnect from the very purpose that got them there.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it, to feel that sense of loss amidst so much success?
It really highlights the importance of staying connected to your why.
Of making sure it's woven into the very fabric of the company culture.
From the top leadership all the way down to the everyday actions of the employees.
It's about building something that lasts, something with meaning beyond just profit.
And succession planning becomes crucial in that sense.
Definitely.
It's not just about handing over the reins, it's about finding a leader who can carry the torch. Someone who embodies that original WHY and can inspire the next generation.
Absolutely. It's about finding someone who understands the heart and soul of the company.
And Sinek shares some cautionary tales of succession planning gone wrong.
Right, like what happened at Apple and Microsoft.
When those visionary founders departed without a clear plan for preserving their why.
Those companies went through some tough times.
It's like that guiding light, that purpose, had dimmed.
And it shows that successful succession isn't about replacing the founder.
It's about finding someone who can continue their legacy of purpose.
Absolutely.
Now, let's revisit the golden circle for a moment.
That framework Sinek uses to explain all of this,
He says most companies communicate from the outside in,
starting with what they do,
then explaining how they do it.
and only then, if at all, mentioning their why,
It's like an inverted pyramid.
putting the tangible stuff up front and burying the deeper purpose at the bottom.
But truly effective leaders and organizations, they communicate from the inside out.
They start with why,
By revealing their purpose first, they create a connection
a shared understanding of values and beliefs.
that makes their actions and offerings so much more meaningful.
It's like building a house on a solid foundation.
The foundation is the WAY,
It provides stability and support for everything else.
and the structure built on top of it, the how and what, those become a natural extension of that purpose.
I like that analogy.
And if you think about those iconic brands we talked about, like Apple and Harley-Davidson,
Right.
they're not just selling products.
They're offering a belief system.
Their customers are buying into a vision, a way of life that aligns with their own principles.
They're making an emotional connection.
That goes beyond just a transaction.
And that, I think, is the essence of true leadership.
It's not about wielding authority,
It's about inspiring people
creating a shared sense of purpose.
and guiding them towards a common goal.
Sinek draws a clear distinction between manipulation and inspiration,
Yeah, that's a critical point.
especially in today's world, where we're bombarded with marketing messages and sales tactics.
We're constantly being manipulated
And manipulation can work, at least in the short term.
using fear, peer pressure, aggressive promotions.
Those tactics can drive sales.
But they often come at the cost of trust.
It's like taking a shortcut.
You get a quick fix, but it's not sustainable.
Inspiration, on the other hand, is about connecting on a deeper level,
Tapping into those shared values and beliefs.
motivating action from a place of purpose,
It's about building lasting relationships.
and fostering a sense of genuine loyalty and shared accomplishment.
Absolutely. It's a much more powerful and sustainable approach.
And I think a lot of companies, they get so caught up in the what
The features, the products, the metrics,
that they lose sight of the WHY.
the very thing that ignited their passion and fueled their innovation.
It's easy to get lost in the day-to-day grind.
And focus on those tangible outcomes.
But the companies that truly endure, the ones that make a real impact,
They're the ones who stay connected to their why.
their core purpose.
Yeah.
It's like the difference between chasing fleeting trends and building something that truly stands the test of time.
That's a great way to put it.
And this applies not just to businesses, but to individuals as well.
Of course.
When you live your life with a clear why,
When your actions are aligned with your values and beliefs,
you create a sense of purpose and fulfillment.
that goes beyond any material possessions or accolades.
It's about finding your own unique way to contribute to the world.
In a way that feels authentic and meaningful,
Imagine waking up every morning with a sense of excitement and purpose.
knowing that your work, your relationships, everything you do,
It's all driven by your WHY.
that sounds like a pretty amazing way to live.
It does, doesn't it?
And what's so inspiring is that this isn't just for people with grand ambitions.
It's for everyone.
No matter your role, your industry, your stage of life,
Whether you're leading a team
building a company.
or just trying to live a more meaningful life. Starting with why can be transformative.
It's about connecting to something bigger than yourself
Finding your unique contribution.
and approaching everything you do with purpose and passion.
Welcome back to our final segment, exploring Start with Why. It's amazing how reflecting on these principles can lead to such profound insights.
Yeah, it really makes you examine both your personal and professional life.
One of Sinek's most compelling points is that companies that truly excel,
Right.
they go beyond just selling products or services.
Yeah.
They actually provide a way for people to express their own deeply held beliefs.
A tangible way to sort of live out your values in the world.
It's not just about buying a product, it's about aligning yourself with something bigger,
Definitely.
like a cause, a belief system, a perspective that resonates on a deeper level.
You're buying into something that reflects who you are.
And that Sinek uses that vivid example of people who choose to tattoo the Harley-Davidson logo on themselves.
Oh yeah, that's a great example.
It shows how a brand can transcend its practical function and become a symbol,
Yeah.
almost like a declaration of your identity.
A way to say, this is what I believe in.
And they're not just buying a motorcycle, they're joining a community,
A culture, a tribe.
a set of ideals that reflect their own values and convictions.
And that sense of belonging, of being part of something larger than yourself.
That's powerful stuff.
It really is. It creates a deep loyalty that goes beyond just liking a brand.
It's about connecting with something that truly resonates with you.
At your core.
And speaking of connecting with your core, it reminds me of the celery test we discussed.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
It reminds us that sometimes even best practices, conventional wisdom,
Right.
they might not always align with your WHY.
You can't just blindly follow advice no matter how well-intentioned it is,
You have to filter it through the lens of your purpose.
and make sure it truly resonates with you.
Sinek also tells the story of Ben Coleman, the runner with cerebral palsy,
Such an inspiration.
and he competes against himself, not against others,
Yeah.
which is a powerful illustration of how focusing on your YHY can really shift your perspective.
On what success even means.
It's not about being better than everyone else.
It's about being better than you were yesterday.
It's about constant self-improvement and pushing your own boundaries.
That's a really empowering message,
Imagine a world where more people embrace that philosophy,
where success was measured by your own growth and progress.
and not by comparing yourself to others.
What a different world that would be.
As we wrap up our deep dive into Start With Why, I'm left with a sense of
Yeah.
just how profound these ideas are
It's a lot to think about.
and how applicable they are to all aspects of our lives.
Absolutely. It's not just about business, it's about life.
So for our listeners, let's distill some key takeaways from our exploration.
Okay, sounds good.
Number one, always start with why to why. It's not just a business strategy.
It's a life philosophy.
Articulate your purpose, your cause, your belief.
The driving force behind everything you do.
Number two, communicate from the inside out.
Start with your WY, then explain the how and the what.
People connect with your purpose first.
That's what resonates with them.
Number three, don't rely solely on manipulations,
Yeah, the short-term tactics might get you results.
but they'll erode trust and damage long-term loyalty.
Aim for inspiration instead.
Number four, cultivate a culture of trust.
Treat your employees, your customer.
Everyone you interact with respect and authenticity.
That's how you build lasting relationships.
Number five, when making decisions, always filter them through your why.
Make sure your actions align with your core values,
Stay true to your purpose.
even when it's tough.
Number six, embrace the celery test.
A simple way to make sure your choices are in line with your WY.
Don't just blindly follow advice.
Make sure it resonates with your goals and your values.
Number seven, focus on inspiring a movement.
Find those people who believe in your WY.
The ones who are passionate about your purpose.
They'll become your biggest advocates.
Number eight, as you grow, be mindful of the split.
That tendency to lose sight of your YOY as you become more successful,
Actively cultivate your purpose.
make sure it's woven into the fabric of your organization or your life.
Number nine, prioritize succession planning.
Find leaders who embody your WHY.
Who can carry the torch and inspire the next generation.
It's about ensuring that your legacy of purpose lives on.
And finally, number 10, compete against yourself.
Strive for constant self-improvement
Set your own standards of excellence.
and push yourself to be better every day.
I think those 10 takeaways offer a powerful framework for living and working with purpose.
They really do.
By embracing these principles, we can create a world that's driven by inspiration and a shared sense of meaning.
A world where everyone feels connected to something bigger than themselves.
It's been an incredible journey exploring Start With Why with you.
It really has.
And I encourage our listeners to delve deeper into these ideas and discover how they can transform their lives.
Absolutely. It's a message that everyone can benefit from.
Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.